We the Dominicans welcome you all again to the Sunday Reach. Jesus never misses an opportunity to teach the people around him something profound as well as thought-provoking. In today's Gospel, Jesus is a guest at a Pharisee's banqueting table. In the Gospel of Luke, meals in particular provide central settings for Jesus' mission. For example, table fellowship symbolizes life and celebration, chapter 8:55 and chapter 15:23, with religious and ritualistic meaning, chapter 6, 1-4. Jesus taught his disciples to pray for the daily bread, chapter 11, 3, and blessed the bread that he was about to take, chapter 9, 16. We have no record of the menu at the table that might interest us. Rather, we have Jesus who creates a new outlook towards such banquets. Jesus would argue that what is served at the table does not matter much, but who served it, how it is served, and to whom it is served. In our experience too, we know that even if a rich banquet is prepared and ready to be served, if there is no fellowship among the host and the guests, and instead bitterness, complaining, and grumbling prevail, the tasty food might fill the stomachs, but the people never leave the table satisfied. Jesus gauges the richness of the banquet with the kind of people who participate in it. Jesus calls for the inclusion of the poor, the crippled, the lame, and the blind, chapter 14-13. The ones who cannot return the invitation. The social structure of the time completely marginalized these people as they were humiliated beyond their choices. Jesus reverses the social expectations and status by including the less privileged ones, which is a difficult thing for people even now to accept. People usually look for the guests of equal status for such sharing of meals. They may not neglect the poor, but may say, "We shall give what is needed for the poor at their own place, and they are not welcome here. This is with a special invitation." To accommodate the less privileged ones, the poor, the crippled, and the lame and the blind, we need a heart to go beyond the human social system, where those who have are further rewarded and those who do not have are further disadvantaged. Jesus challenges us to live out the counter-cultural value of the inclusion of the most marginalized and the less privileged ones. The less privileged ones are not just economically or socially marginalized. They could be in rich palaces or in esteemed positions in the society, and yet they suffer the feeling of unwantedness. In today's world, people with such feelings of rejection, good for nothing, isolation, outrage, and people who are emotionally vulnerable, suffered abuses and exploitation, and live at the dangerous edge of depression and mental breakdown, can also be considered as the less privileged ones. Mostly in our families and communities, such people turn out to be disturbances or burden rather than companions in joy. The deep-rooted brokenness in them make them emotionally and socially poor, crippled, blind, and the lame. We are asked to include such people in our fellowships so that the root cause of such vulnerabilities could be addressed gradually. Exclusion is never the answer, but a careful assistance and empowerment could be an option. Jesus also points towards the heavenly banquet where a beloved community takes part in it. It is a community where there is no partiality according to class or caste. There is no exclusive culture. Rather, that is a place of equality and enrichment. Jesus advises us that if we are intent on reaching for that heavenly banquet, we need to prepare for it. It is like preparing to go to a foreign land by learning the language, culture and custom and geography of the land. So too, we need to prepare for the etiquette and rules of heavenly kingdom. Unless we learn them in our daily life and activities, we will never be able to enjoy our heavenly banquet. The Holy Eucharist is that banqueting table where we are taught to be the children of heavenly kingdom. Jesus sacrificed himself to reconcile everyone to the Father, whether they are Greek or Gentile, poor or rich, and everyone who is born in this world is reconciled. The Holy Eucharist commemorates Jesus' sacrifice. Anyone then who is part of such a sacrificial meal cannot cultivate the attitude of exclusion and discrimination, but will be spontaneously embrace every human person with all their brokenness. Since we live in the world as though one foot is in this world and the other is onto the kingdom of heaven, we cannot afford to be people with discriminatory attitudes. However, given the fact that the roots of exclusion and discrimination are firstly in our hearts and the social system we live in, we shall ask Jesus, the revolutionary pioneer of reconciliation, to help us to be people of reconciliation.